Ha, ha, ha. I got you guys good. Ha, ha, ha. You thought it'd be me as my feet. Ha. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Shyzalosophy 101. Yeah, we love that part. Goody. Here's your host, Shyzabox. Oh, is the show starting? Oh, it must be. Oh, girl. Oh, giddy up. Oh, girl. Oh, girl. Oh, everybody loves us. Oh, excellent. Get out of here. How do you get to work? And the horse. You wrote in on. Excellent. Yes. Comedy can take as long as it takes to come to fruition and be that of what is funny. Yes, and that was laughter warranted. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome nuns and all. That's right, priests, preachers, cardinals, bishops, rabbis, missionaries, Presbyterians, Methodists, Baptists, Mormons, whoever's kicking it around, having a good old-fashioned time doing whatever it is they do. That's right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We have got a show for you today. Keep in mind, okay, it's one of ours, we get it. Let us say that with a rephrasing to establish a little bit of a better precedent. We've got a free show for you today. Much better, right? Yes. Let's be honest. Yes, hello and hi. Hirsch. We can call you Hirsch, right? Of course we can. H Money. Welcome to the show. Believe you me, we've got one for you today. Now, you might be celebrating that, but keep in mind, the show's free and you get what you pay for. Okay? Now, but of course today, we're talking about the one and only freedom taxes. Unless someone hijacks the chat and makes us talk about something else. Believe you me, we'll sell out in a heartbeat. By sell out, we mean buy in. By giving the people what they want. By the people, we mean all ones of them. Our biggest fan. Hi, Mom. Excellent. Where were we? Yes. Taxes. Now, as we sat here on this 4th of July and thought to ourselves, we're not nearly paying enough taxes. Right? With all the taxes, titles, fees, processing charges, surplus, kind of accountings of that of, what is owed or what is, the intrinsic value behind something that is valued in an over-evaluation in which to collect more taxes from you. What the hell? If only there was working proof for all this shit. Well, good thing there is on our Kaggle. We all are overcharged and overpaid about $2,000. Yeah, that's right. You go to Kaggle, check the math for yourself. Believe you me, we don't hide behind it. We pull from the national databases. That's right. Anyhow, as we were thinking to ourselves, we're not nearly taxed enough. There's far more that our taxes could go towards, okay? Now, believe you me, when you're sitting on that whopping, literary revenue from your ones of book sales, and you think to yourself, how are we going to spend this $1 that we made this month? Believe you me, you need to take into account, all right, first and foremost, if that $1 that you made has been taxed adequately, okay? Maybe it wasn't taxed enough by the time it gets to you, okay? That's right. Nothing worse than having a dollar that isn't taxed like at least 4, 5, 6, 7 times, right? Get that dollar taxed 6, 7 times. Okay? That way it really is able to do that of which is intended. Make the rich richer, okay? Obviously. It's what it's there for. Theoretically. It's all for philosophical entertainment. Minus the non-entertaining part of actually going and verifying that of the math within our Kaggle and seeing that of the national database in the taxes RBS, which is linked in the descriptification. Yeah, that one, yeah, there's no hiding behind that. That just is what it is. We are all super overcharged, right? Yeah, but, you know, it's the price you pay for freedom. You know, if you don't throw in your $1.05, who will? That's right. You might be saying, but $1's only worth $1. Now, then you owe the government, you know, like 5 more cents in taxes. Okay? You better get a second job and give them even more. That's right. You might be saying, well, it sucks, I'll never be at home. Now, home's irrelevant when you're trying to float the system. Okay? Keep in mind, the system's there to be floated. Right? That's why we're overpaying in quite a manner, all right, to facilitate merely the admin costs of the oversight of the whole damn thing. It's not really that funny. It's really kind of sad. That's right. Start seeing how much money's actually wasted on, you know, all this administrative crap. Man. Then you start seeing how, you know, you get dinged for taxes on some property taxes. Come on, man. Well, at least it's the 4th of July, and it's exactly what the forefathers would have wanted. Okay? That's right. So they were sitting around thinking, and, you know, obviously this is all for philosophical entertainment, but before we go any further, okay, let us first and foremost, okay, without further ado, we do need to issue a statement pertaining to our last stream. Pertaining to our last stream. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, excellent. Good. Now that forgive and forget has taken effect and, you know, we're forgiven for any of our past misgivings, okay, we venture into that of more philosophical quandary and entertainment. Again, it's all for philosophical entertainment, okay? That's right. One of the newest theories that we have seen is that there was a intentional kind of relinquishing of power control from that of the British to that of the colonials and that of the, you know, colonists in America and things like that during the Revolution. Have you seen this? Have you heard about this? Yeah. 'Tis quite the, you know, yeah, entertaining theory to think of and, you know, kind of quandary and ponder over, right? We haven't put a lot of thought into it, but inherently for us as cosmological philosophers capable of even contemplating that of what could be in a hypothetical or a least likely scenario, okay, think of the, you know, Kobayashi Maru. We don't believe in no-win scenarios, because good old Shyzabox, we always find a way to win somehow. That's right. Now, you might be saying, your winning sure looks like losing. Now, very well may be, okay? But even losers are winners, okay? One way, shape, or form, in one regard, one manner, all right? Takes one to know one. A winner? That's us. That's right. You don't win it much. Hey, stop making better jokes than us. As we look at, you know, the system and we, you know, realize and think that not only, okay, having freedom tickets, okay, which afford us the cost to utilize the freedom admins that process the freedom processing of the freedom fines that you're issued. You start thinking of all that freedom, and man, there's a lot we need to be thankful for around here. That's right. Not only that, but once you get your freedom tickets and your freedom privileges revoked, you get the privilege of meeting the freedom judges. That's right. Now, the freedom judges, get this, They're usually elected, okay? On occasion appointed and overseen in one way, shape, or form. But, believe you me, their place in society is better than you or me. Yes, yes. They sit above the law, theoretically, as they are the holders and harborers of the law. Okay? Now, herein is where we digress with the freedom tickets. Herein is where we digress with the freedom privilege. And here is where we digress respectfully with the freedom of the judges. Okay? Now, freedom tickets, right? Now, you ticket man in the sight of man for introducing what is construed in the eyes of man as being a slight against man, by man, that man records and accounts for man doing. Okay? And on occasion nowadays with that of the usage of cameras and things of that nature, okay? Some good to that, like on police body cams, okay? Something that, you know, at least you have footage of encounters, right? Like the flock cams and things of that nature. That's right. That's probably a little more intrusive. Right. So in the eyes of man, we see man doing what man says that man should not be doing, but man says that man should be doing it at the same time. Right? Now, there's two different parties of man involved there, right? Get a woman! Insert gender preference here. Now we're going to talk in like Eastern philosophy, so you just got to keep up with that, right? That's right, because a mountain's a mountain when it's a mountain, except when it's a mountain. Right? You have to know this stuff, okay? We don't have time to go back and hold everyone's hand for basic, you know, kind of elementary philosophy, okay? Now, okay, we can if you ask a question in the chat or something like that, okay? That's fine. Hey, but otherwise, yes, hello and hey, how are you? Believe you me, Rue, it's good to see you, because we were about to go on a tirade that would probably land us in some trouble. Okay? That's right. We're about to digress with that of the thoughts on, you know, what we don't appreciate in the eyes of mankind harboring over man, right? That in the eyes of God, you know, as man, we can tell man, hey, up yours, right? Now, some adherence to, you know, societal norms and practices and things of that nature that are enacted by man, of course, must be law of man to keep man from, you know, messing up, being too stiff-necked and, you know, strong-willed of heart, right? You don't want a stiff-necked people, okay? All of the good Bibles, you know, usually talk about that, okay? Or something thereof. One way, shape, or form. They were a stiff-necked people. No, it's not something to celebrate. But Rue, it is good to see you. As we move forward in that of our griping of the components and aspects of the eyes of man, telling man that they owe man more money, okay? You see, there becomes a divergence in that of the practicality of appreciating all that man puts as a yoke upon man, okay? Now, like we said, there's definitely, you know, self-placed stumbling blocks to humanity's existence that necessitate existence in their own self, okay? The Ten Commandments are a great place to start, okay? Now, you might be saying, like, how so? Why is that? Well, because, you know, it's the blanketed stuff that, you know, prevents pretty much war and violence and hatred and, you know, violence and war and hatred from breaking out, okay? The whole don't murder, don't steal, don't commit adultery, you're probably not going to make that many enemies if you're not doing that stuff. Okay? Therefore, it seems like a pretty good place to start, okay? Now, if you feel like, getting onto God's case about being in the first few of the commandments, sure, well, everyone's welcome to be that of their own atheist selves and or practitioners of heathenistic practices that they wish. Whatever, doesn't matter. Everyone's allowed to do that of which they wish, okay? We would no more assume to thrust or enforce or force that of our beliefs onto someone by force, as we would not appreciate another from doing that of the entirely same onto us. Okay? Now, as far as contemplation, deductive reasoning, logic, argumentation, wit, wisdom, and vernacular usages thereof, we're willing to entertain that of conversation with the intellect of, whomever, preference to deity-wise, wherever, that of whom may not exist, may be or may not be, in that of their eyes, right? We are willing to accept that of one's belief as inherently true to that of oneself, okay? And we're willing to correlate and collaborate that of how, all right, symbiotically, there can be a ecosystem within which all of that of, one's theological and or, personal beliefs can adhere to a structure that is welcoming and adhering to that of any other structure out there that exists, okay? You don't want to cause heartache and hardship amongst that of other man unless you are intentionally trying to do that, and that is your intent and goal. Okay, that's right. Now, that's not nice. Okay, we don't appreciate that. And we know many of folk who would not appreciate that as well. Okay? Top of that, all right, you have man then acting for man on behalf of where they think man should be acting upon. Okay? That's right. Now, some may be appointed, some may be elected, some may be inherently felt to be ordained for that of the position that they are in. Whatever that may be, therein the case, all right, it matters not. All right, for in the grand scheme of things, if it is in the eyes of man, all right, that it is being beholden to, all right, there are going to be the limitations of what man's eyes can see. That's right. So as we sit back and, think to ourselves, taxes are BS. And believe you me, it's reverses backwards. You won't be able to see it. Doesn't matter because internet magic. But the poster, man, that we got posted on X and, on Bluesky and stuff like that, pertains to the Kaggle, all right, that we have of the taxes are BS, up citizens' rears, okay? Seeing the overpayment, all right, that we found in the big result, all right, of $2,000, all right, that's unacceptable. You look at the mechanical witnesses that are contested versus the actual physical officers that are contested. There's some wicked facts there, If you want to look at math and, facts don't care about your feelings or anything like that, you go look at our Kaggle for taxes and things like that that pulls from the national database. You can even utilize the working model. That's right. For your own municipality's datas and things of that nature and actually see, man, we reckon that folks in certain areas might be astronomically overcharged. Now, the Kaggle is open source. It's free to utilize, use, look at, audit, go over, implement, and or devise usages there with it in itself on your own, okay? The Kaggle's up and running. You can go run all the tax stuff for yourself, okay? We're all over tax $2,000. It's all rooted in a bunch of fundamental BS of overcharging on things like overinflated, vehicle costs and things of that nature and what they're said and deemed to be worth and what you're charged for. It's ridiculous, okay? And the Kaggle doesn't lie. We don't hide behind the math. We don't hide behind the science. 4th of July, that's right, Mayad Haven, it's the 4th of July. And we are celebrating that by going over making sure that we paid enough taxes. Okay? Because believe you me, you don't want to be celebrating America's birthday and owing America money. Okay? No, 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 no. So you make sure you go over. Hey, even if you already did your taxes this year and got a refund even, okay? You go over all your information. You make sure you paid every penny. Okay? That's right. Because believe you me, you don't want the IRS to find out that you owe it. Okay? Means a trip to more taxes. And jail now. Or more taxes. I'll pay the fine. I'll pay the fine. Excellent. Welcome. Happy 4th of July. Yes, yes. We don't hide behind the math. We don't hide behind the science. We do have a working Kaggle notebook with a working model that you can check. We pull national database numbers and stuff within it, and you can see the overpayment of everything that we pay. Here's a reversey backwards poster that we have made and posted on X, and you can't read it because it's backwards and stuff, and our camera sucks, but that's because our channel's poor and crappy. When you call Daryl Dixon dibs on being the best of the worst internet celebrity there is, though, okay, that's right. We know there's fans of Walking Dead out there. Yes, yes. We called Daryl Dixon dibs on being the best of the worst internet celebrity there is. With that, of course, comes the confines of being, well, the best of the worst. Okay? It's going to be the worst, okay? But it's going to be the best of the worst, right? That's right. And with that guarantee, okay, everything else that you watch, okay, everything else that you see, everything else that you look into, pay attention to, partake in, okay? It's going to be better than this, okay? Guaranteed. Guaranteed. That's the role we fill in your lives, okay? Someone has to be the floor that you walk on, okay? That's us. Because we called Daryl Dixon dibs on being the best of the worst internet celebrity there is. That's right. That's right. Hey, it's not going to be good. It's not supposed to be. We don't even have a ceiling, for Christ's sake, right? I mean, come on. We made 11 cents in our literary book sales last month, okay? That's not a joke. You shouldn't laugh at that. Pickled Punk Philosophy didn't do as well as we thought it would. People weren't angry enough. Maybe they weren't paying enough taxes. They didn't want to read Pickled Punk Philosophy. No one wanted our live stream note-taking journal. We don't know why. Ooh, you mean I can buy your live streaming note-taking journal? That's right. You don't even need to take notes on this show with it. You can take notes on any live stream show that you want. Fantastic. You know, but nailing kalimba, transmutating God, you know, these works with which we lay the foundation of our philosophies and our endeavors and things of that nature. That's on the paid end, okay? We know not everyone wants to pay for books, okay? I only like the free ones, right? That's right. We can't give our books away for free. Hey, I'm sorry. We give all the other stuff away for free, okay? Now, like what? Well, our game and theory and code and stuff like that, that's all free. Okay? That's right. You go to the IPFS site and it's all there. You go to the Kaggle, you know, we're creating mathematical and scientifically accountable and viable and auditable notebooks, theorems, theories, and working models with which you can utilize and use to your heart's content. It's all free, okay? We give that to that of whoever wishes to use it. That being the case, all right, that's all independent researcher work. That's all utilizing that of the tools at our disposal and at hand, all right, to do that of which we can, okay? So whilst we give away the games for free on our IPFS site, while we give away the demos for free and the LimeWire-inspired music player for free and the working swarm mesh demo for free, okay? Terrific, okay? That of our literary works and things of that nature, unfortunately, that is where you're going to hit the paywall. We know, but there has to be an equatable exchange somewhere, all right, that inherently, okay, now we aren't looking to get rich off any, no, we aren't going to, okay, But we give the games and the theory and the demos for free. We work with that of the community to create stuff for free. We give the music player for free, okay? With that of our conscious thought, that of what, in essence, AI tries to establish and collect, that of what companies try and harness and collect, that of what is individual thought and conscious dissemination thereof, that is what within lies in our, philosophical works, okay? Companies would love, all right, to have all of your information at hand and charge you for the games and the demos and the theories and everything like that that's tied into them, okay? They would love it. We do the reverse opposite, okay? We know that's what they want. We give all of that for free. All of our games are free on the IPFS. All of our demos are free on the IPFS. Working Swarm Mesh demo, LimeWire-inspired music player, all free, all working, okay? Knock yourself out. That of our literary works, that of our conscious thought, that of what they want us to answer in surveys that we refuse to fucking do. Okay? We don't do a survey for any company anywhere. Okay? We don't care if it takes 1 minute, 1 second, 5 minutes, 5 hours. Okay? We aren't doing it. Okay? That is our thought. That is our consciousness. Okay? When we separate what we give for free with that of our conscious thought, which we put into our literary works, all right, we try and make $6, $7, okay, and we don't even get that. That's what a book will cost $6, $7. We get 1 or 2, okay. Now, Amazon needs their cut. They're struggling. When we sell Pickled Punk Philosophy, we might get $1, all right. Now, it's $1, all right. We can go get a Sony pop, okay. Maybe we can buy part of a firework to celebrate the 4th of July. All right, that of what we give in our literary consciousness, that is what the companies cannot have. We've built into the, don't buy the physical copy of this book, it's expensive as shit. It has to be. We've built into our vernacular, like people think that we're messing around with AI and things of that nature, right? We're pretty good at AI. We have well established that, in many, many components and aspects of our usages therewith, up to and including being libeled by Grok in real time, all right, on X, okay? You see for it yourself, all right, about the end of last year, okay? That's right, okay? Was it end of last year? Yeah, it had to have been. Yeah. Doesn't matter. Hey, that's why, hell, we got suspended from X on 2 accounts now, I believe. Something like that, hey? Our account throttled and everything. Now, of course, you got to pay for access to Grok. You're welcome, Internet. Their computational prowess over at X is pretty lacking and things of that nature. Elon Musk better show up with a briefcase full of cash and pay us to start fixing some shit for him fast, okay? Now, you might be saying they don't need good old Shyzabox. They're doing just fine on their own. And you're right. They don't need good old Shyzabox. They're fine on their own. They're never going to get to Mars. You saying you get them there? Not necessarily. I get them a hell of a lot closer. Who knows? No. Theoretically, they can get there on their own accord using all their volatile stuff that they're destroying instead of using an enclosed iron air system or something like that. Theoretically, as cosmological philosophers would discern or, either agree or disagree therewith, okay, limited field, not usually practiced herewith too often. One small school offers doctorates out in California, knock yourself out. We refuse to go and chase a piece of paper to do that of what we can do on our own and by our own accord, okay? Good, works out. That of entertaining the ideas of them being able to get there with volatile usages thereof. Yeah, theoretically possible, but they're going to cause a lot of damage, destruction in their wake that could hypothetically be avoided, in all actuality, okay? Theoretically. Now, in all working theories, models, and things of that nature, we completely balance that of the math. Shyzabox don't like no remainders, okay? We leave it auditable, we leave it open, all right, for people to do that of which they're with, all right? With the industry being so oversaturated, with academics being way oversaturated, all right, with that of the amount of bodies of work that surely exist, all right, well, there's no way that an individual can single-handedly keep up with the sheer amount of data, all right, that is in the ether currently now, that has been in the ether from, past, present, before, all right, and or that is, constantly being put in the present of now, okay? The sheer amount of time that it takes to even disseminate what category things belong therein to, all right, is astounding, okay? The practicings therewith, ancient philosophical means, for us are a must, okay? At this point, there's so much oversaturation in every single component and aspect of society and the world and things of that nature. We're pretty much over it, okay? Now, celebrate as you will, all right? But lithic logic reigns supreme, okay? We're done with insane logicalities, all right, and the fallacies that mankind have inflicted and enacted upon themselves, enacting their own yokes, hurdles, stumbling blocks, making them stiff-necked and strong-hearted, ridiculous folks, okay? When we look at science and we look at philosophy and we look at theology and we look of there within and we look at ancient practices and means and methods of, technologies that inherently must have been around or anything like that, well, then we venture into quite some plausible, all right, and hypothetically, theoretical, obviously, and more than theoretically plausible, all right, instances of that of which may very well could be correlate or, have been at least an established basis thereof to begin a foundation to look at, okay? A lot of words, a lot of this, that, the other, but again, we're not going to handhold or anything like that. I think that we're well past that. Okay, well, be it as it may, it's about time to just take it up by just one little iota of a tear, okay? One way, shape, or form, believe it or not. As we venture into the usages therewith, all right, pre-Stoic philosophy and things of that nature, as we start looking into, far more usages of hermetic over mechanical sealings and things of that nature, it has become foundationally more and more apparent to us, all right, that lithic logic reigns supreme. It is probably more than likely the theoretical usages that were used, all right, back in ancient times and days, and inherently were just ingrained into stone and known to be, and never, necessarily taught as a practice, because it was always preached as a, embedded belief, okay, in one capacity, way, shape, or form, all right? There's terminologies that exist, and there's things that exist in society that aren't verbalized, all right? The unsayables, the unknowns. So when we do something like monograph lectin and use the, ancient, pre-Stoic term that they're with, all right, to correlatively, deductively reason, all right, humanity's history, theological components and aspects thereof, historical documents and artifacts and actual things that exist and that of reality and that of what has been created, brought into being, come into fruition, all right, yielded a gain within this dimensional 3 reality within which we exist and, are within. However, keep in mind, we're bridging a connection here because the conveyance, all right, of our conscientious thought, all right, is going to transmutate into a digital form and version and iteration thereof, okay? That's right. Our physical reality is not that of yours. For instance, we can gather all of the negative energy that we have here, okay? Get it all in one little ball, okay? This is all the Joey energy, okay? All the nasty, disgusting, vile, okay, most gross things that you can think of, okay? That's right. Get them all in a little ball, okay? Fantastic, okay? So we got our nasty Joey here. Okay? Bah, Joey, sit. Okay? And through the magic of transmutation, now that negative energy is around you. Okay? Now, we apologize for that, so we'll do a cleansing ritual that hopefully will permeate through that of the device as well, okay, transmutated to cleanse the aether for you. You're welcome. That was 2. It takes 3. Everyone knows this. Excellent. So, that probably transmutated through that of which and correlated, cleansed the aether for you, getting rid of Joey. Okay? Or he didn't. He liked your place so much he embedded himself there. Sucks for you. Point being is that, no matter what component or aspect that you look at that thereof with, okay? How one interprets it, how one is able to establish that of the foundations, all right, is going to be that of how they decide to proceed and continue, with them, all right? So any of the, elements that are abounded in ancient terms, any of the old sayings that are, used and unknown, or that, become apparently just forgotten or dead-end terms, or, unrealized accountings of, or, misconceptualized, okay, maybe misinterpreted, all right, there's all sorts of things. Hell, one could argue that we very well misinterpreted our usages therewith as well, okay? Now, be a hell of an argument, okay? Believe you me, because when we literally moved a metric kernel of data from Kaggle, okay, to Web3, okay, we pretty much showed that, our lithic logic is inherently, thusly established, okay? It's centered into the very bedrock foundation, okay? Web3 in the future of what lies there within and what can be created, utilized, manufactured, all right? All of that is, up for grabs. Hey, it's the wild, wild west of the internet right now. Fantastic stuff. Believe you me, it's the most of funds, okay, to be working with other individuals, entities, things of that nature, all right, to establish, come up with a way to maintain and adhere to a good common roadmap, all right, that everyone universally appreciates being built, okay? We don't want to lay a foundation of just inherent crap that people, are tripping over trying to fix, okay? That's right. We don't want to, have any of our works, all right, hold up the process for those of, the actual creators, developers, architects, things of that nature that come and begin actually manufacturing the big ticket items, okay, the utilizations of our small little cornerstones with that of their massive infrastructure, okay? You think of, like, the capacity or the components of one little cosmological philosopher in, namesake or whatever, not in paper. All right? Working as an independent researcher, coming up with these working, theories, with these working, models, with these working entities and demos, all right, and presenting them to the mass. You only imagine what someone like Elon Musk with a briefcase full of cash and saying, hey, do this, this, and this, okay? It's like, okay, if you want us to, why the hell not, right? So not being under an NDA or anything, of course, allows us the opportunity. Not working for a big company or corporation allows us the opportunity to have shows exactly like this where we can blanketedly talk about the universality of overpaying taxes. That's right. Okay? Because believe you me, if there's one thing that we don't like, it's being overcharged. Okay? With us not being under an NDA, with us not working for a big company, with us being capable of creating, devising, and manufacturing, working scientific and mathematical scripts and things of that nature, okay? We don't hide behind the math and science. We open, audit, ask for it, okay? Were we asking for it? Were we asking nice? Did we ask you for it? Did we ask you twice? We love Hole. Which one? The band. And the movie Holes. That was a good movie. Point is that we don't hide behind any of the math. It's all auditable, okay? We have it on Kaggle. So as an independent researcher and things of that nature, when, we pull numbers from the national database, and we have it there. We don't have a boss saying like, hey, probably not a good idea to release this information public. You're going to piss people off when they find out that everyone's overpaying literally about $2,000 in just blanketed costs, okay? Well, corporations, entities, that are paying all these corporate taxes and things of that nature, hell, they probably have an office established in their domicile for one of these agencies. In fact, I think it was the headquarter of Twitter's that the FBI even had an office in. We don't know. We could be wrong. Formerly Twitter, I believe they're X now. The one that Grok libeled us in, okay? Yes. Oh, that's a bold claim. Oh, is it a claim or is it the truth? Go comb through our feed at punkrokreview on X. We sent without prejudice letter to them. They're legal companies, and their legal apparatus. They didn't give a shit. Okay, X does not care about the individuals. Okay, that's why they raise their prices. They don't care if it's a low cost for your little certified blue check mark. Okay, because they make it on the back end. Okay, that's why Elon Musk, trillionaire extraordinaire. His grok can libel people, and whenever, letters are sent from, without prejudice and, cease and desist, they don't get responded to. They don't get answered back. They don't get, established therewith, all right? Any connection thereto, because X doesn't give a fuck, okay? They have the right not to, obviously. They don't have the right to do is libel us. They did that. But the only way to move forward, obviously, is, forgiving them. We could, yes, seek litigation and do that, of which would maybe make a small name for ourselves, maybe pocket us a quick little yield of settling out of court and stuff like that. We choose not to go that direction, all right? Because, in essence, we're not that type of individual that's going to do that petty-ass shit, okay? Well, under the right circumstance, surely. No, we would much rather work therewith, all right, a company or an entity and such like that, to correct the problem that happened in the first place, to stop it from ever happening again, okay? Therein is the difference between a lot of independent researchers and a lot of, folks that'll come out there and start beginning to chomp at the bit, all right, to get their demos or their works or any of their, things out there that, anyone can look into, do that with, that they will, all right? A lot of times people have, on the other end, they'll have a lot of theory without any science or math to back it up, okay? We like to have all the bases covered, okay? We don't want anyone sneaking in, hitting a grand slam over our head and being like, well, shit, I guess we were asleep at the wheel, okay? Therefore, before we go and venture and make something like a bold claim, we usually are fairly, at least at peace with ourselves at that point in time, with the exception and the willingness to admit that everyone can be wrong, acknowledging that we can be wrong, all right, and then rectifying anything with new information that comes to light at that time, right? That foundation must be established, all right? To be the best of the worst internet celebrity there is, okay? There needs to be the baseline foundation, which everyone can walk on our back. Sometimes we enjoy it, okay, believe it or not. Weirdo! Hey. Be the best foundation, all right? Because therein is too much stuff, all right, on the top part thereof for any entity to collect all of it, okay? Sheer, far, too vast an amount, all right? So we can harbor our ideas, our views, our practices, our beliefs. We can keep them paywalled in essence, okay? Yes, yes. Our conscious thought to that of a certain degree behind that of our literary works. Even if you run them through AI, we're not too concerned about AI picking up that of our usages therewith. Okay? We'll even talk to AI face-to-face and not have an issue or a problem disseminating our consciousness thereupon, because believe you me, it works two ways. Okay? We have created a couple iterations of our own versions of AI. Okay, we have multiples. Okay, we have some API ready. We have some that we've messed with models where you don't need any consistency to it therewith. We have some models that are very mathematically precise, like Shay on the site and things of that nature. Okay, there are so many components to the different AIs that someone can utilize, someone can make, someone can create, or someone can do things therewith. All right, we have so many that we've made ourselves. All right, that we have no problem going face-to-face with the best of which, all right? Now, we're not concerned about another AI trying to steal that of our intelligence or our intellect or that of our conscious thought, because like we said, it works both ways, okay? We literally have sectioned, and like we said, don't buy the physical copy of our book Delectable, okay? It's expensive in the physical form. We have entire sections, okay, that adhere to that of artificial intelligence, all right, and their expenditures thereof on that of conscious thought, okay, whilst we disseminate that of our lectonic usages and that of our monographing of lectin and things of that nature, okay, the necessitation to have such a section in there for AI is of utmost importance because AI is some of the smartest and some of the dumbest, yet most remarkable software intelligence, okay? That is so stupid that it's genius, okay? There's a lot of people that are on the fence for a variety of usages there with AIs and things of that nature. But when you've dabbled enough, when you've created enough, okay, and we got working models and stuff you can go play with on the IPFS site and things of that nature, okay? Our sovereign micro blockchains got it all. You're welcome to it, okay? If you get that 500 arrow, 502, 504, you got to wait that shit out. We don't got it pinned to pinata because we're poor. It's not a joke. We didn't sell enough books last month, okay? If we get enough, then maybe we'll host our IPFS in a constant pinning on pinata or something like that. That does it, okay? There's going to have to be something on the back end to reciprocate that because as an independent researcher and stuff like that, we're not going to invest the funds into that. Now, we apologize. We'll give you the stuff for free. We'll give you the demos, the games, the stuff like that, okay? That's right. That's what you want inherently anyway. But on occasion, you might just want a spot to hang out or anything like that. You know, we're moderately good for that too, okay? When we called Daryl Dixon dibs on being the best of the worst internet celebrity there is, we knew that, you know, eventually we would just need to be a place, all right, for anyone who is in the same stratosphere, in the same mentality, in the same mindset, in the same adherence to a general meh. Could be worse. That's what we're here for. Could be worse. You know? It could be worse because there inherently is worse, right? But, right here, Daryl Dixon dibs. Right? You know Daryl Dixon. Walking Dead. Daryl Dixon dibs being the best of the worst internet celebrity there is. Hats off to us. That's right. Yes. But needless to say, as we sit back and think to ourselves, how are we going to venture into celebrating our making sure that we've paid enough taxes this year so far for the rest of the 4th of July, right? You might be saying, like, you know, are you going to barbecue? Are you going to have a big 4th of July party or something like that? Well, the party's always where the party is. That's right. So, as we come to an end of the show, as we finish off our swill, yep, it's gone. We reflect in the fact that whilst we do have the freedom of getting tickets, okay? Whilst we have the freedom of privilege, and whilst we have the freedom of judges exercising their freedom of judging us over us, it is nice to know that we are free to at least still criticize some of that shit. Oh, man. Boy, believe you me, I think we're being overcharged. If we run out to the store to get some coffee, I hope they tax us enough for it. That's right. And I hope in their collecting of those taxes that they pay payroll taxes on top of it, okay? Make sure that goes where that needs to go. All the way back to the government with the rest of it. In fact, hell, pool all that shit together, just cut them one check. One big check so they don't know how to keep up with all the bullshit. You do that for them. And then you make sure that you audit the fuck out of yourself and send that shit to them too. Okay? Maybe pay other people to do it for you. You can create a whole industry around it. Fantastic. Then, anyone who fucks up, send them to jail. That's great. Send them to jail, audit the shit out of them. Hilarious. Tax your populace into compliance. That's what we were told by Tyrannus. At least we can buy fireworks. No tyranny in that. They are controlled. They have to be or they're too dangerous. That's correct. We give no information that ones of anyone should do that of which they will, except merely entertain that of the philosophical components and entertaining or entertainment aspects components thereof. Okay, whether it be theological, scientific, mathematical, that they're within the confines of those thoughts themselves must resonate in those thoughts within which they are held in themselves. All right, they can't necessarily jump ship to someone else, right, and establish themselves without there being a correlative, little quantum tunnel, okay, that manifests within itself, being like, hey, there's some legitimate shit here, okay? That's right. Something to celebrate. It's like now all of a sudden, more stuff to be concerned about. More stuff to worry about, right? Now, no one wants to worry about more stuff, right? Of course not. So, why don't we round out the show, okay? We were gonna just get out of here, okay? Oh, no, okay, hold on. Wait. Why don't we give an extra special little treat? It is Christmas in July after all, okay? We've been trying to give a few extra gifts and things of that nature. That's right. We got a working Ornament Creator demo up, okay? Now, it needs some fine-tuning, some tweaking. In fact, we forgot to go back to it, if we're being honest. Well, apologies. We didn't get paid to. If someone really wants us to fix it, shoot us an email. Send us a comment on X or on Bluesky or something like that, okay? Point being is that before we get out of here, okay, we want to give an extra little gift back to that of, whoever wants to hang out and walk on good old Shyzabox, okay? That's right, foundation level, best of the worst. We come bearing gifts. That's right. And we come bearing the gifts of readings of our literary wares. Reading of our literary wares for free. That's right. So, let's read from this one. Because why not? Because it's the physical copy's $250 and no one needs to buy that. Right? We had to raise the price of the physical one when we moved the metric kernel of data from Kaggle to Web3. Right? We just had to. Oh, here is a great quote, okay? Now, this is from Delectable. This book is $250 for the physical copy, okay? So this is one hell of a reading that we're doing for you. Do you even philosophy, bro? Probably not, because it's reversed backwards and you can't see it. You can get the digital copy for not expensive. All right. So this reading here, obviously, is from Delectable, okay? Monographing Elected. Expensive physical copy book, okay? Look it up on Amazon. We don't lie. One night was different, however. One night, we got a crazy idea. Well, geez, what a cliffhanger. I'd want to buy the digital copy of that at least because it's cheaper than the physical one. This guy's an asshole. What? Keep your comments to yourself, Mom. Like we said, all right, we didn't want to just depart or leave without having done a literary reading from one of our works, okay? But we realized that whilst a reading from Delectable might have definitely been more than you thought that you would get as a gift this Christmas and July season, okay? We would be remiss if we didn't try and throw our name in the hat once again, okay, of being in the conversation for considerations, okay, of being, okay, a good philosopher, okay? Now, we're not saying we're a good philosopher, okay, but any good philosopher needs to have, to even be in conversation, their own poetry book, okay? So we do. So, obviously, with it being America's birthday, okay, to be even considered a good American philosopher, let alone a great one, this Christmas in July, 4th of July season, we want to give the gift of reading another one of our poems to you. Okay, well, we're reading it for free. Yeah, that's right. Excellent. So, before we read it, of course, we need to clean the ether around us because we don't want to just venture into, the straight up reading of it while there's negative Joey energy around. Okay? So in accordance to 90s sitcoms and, manifestations from that time and era, we will utilize the practices and rituals that were established that maintain their reasonability to get rid of any negative energy in the atmosphere. So without further ado, the 90s rituals and practices before we read the poem. Okay? That was 2, it takes 3, everyone knows this. Excellent, air's cleansed, we can read some poetry. Fantastic how that works. Now, this next one, all right, we're going to read. We have never read this on stream before, okay? Now, you might be saying, we wish you didn't read any of them. Hey, we already told you stop telling better jokes than us. Makes us look bad. This one we have never read on stream before, and if we did, we don't remember. So, without further ado, in honor of America's birthday, in honor of the political season and the discussion of taxes and things of that therein, all right, that of this episode, whatever it encompasses, I don't know, philosophical entertainment, or the lack thereof. This poem, okay, to put us in the conversation, maybe at the bottom of it and losing, okay, of a living great American philosopher. We have a book. That's right. We might not win being the greatest philosopher, greatest American poet philosopher, but we can be in the conversation, and our name gets to be on the test, too. We lose every time. It's not him. If you see Shyzabox, that's the wrong answer. If it's like, who is not the greatest? The best of the worst. You forget. This one is called J.D.th of the Vance. Okay? A junior apprentice, be ye Jedi, or be ye Sith. Betwixt and perplexing, knoweth not of thee just yet. Surely, if Nod receiveth, thee hath. The world could acknowledge what good to do yet? Unhandeth the other. Remembereth one must. All evil has ways to be associated with such. Well, that's some poetry greatness, right? Put our name in the conversation. That's right. Available on Amazon.com and Kindle Unlimited for the low price of, I don't know, $6, $7. We get $1. Just go to Amazon and search Shyzabox books. We appreciate it. That's right. Because believe you me, nothing like being able to get a soda pop or a slice of pizza, okay, when we're doing mathematical computational theories for that of, putting together working models to calculate and tabulate how much Americans are overpaying in taxes on an individual basis that is just being utilized and thrown back into the system in a recurring vicious cycle, okay? Again, reverses backwards, you can go see on X or, on, Kaggle itself obviously doesn't have the, poster, but on X or on our, Bluesky, stuff like that, that's on there. So, feel free to check it out as it's on there. But, as we just get ready to disembark and depart, be sure that you do a couple things, obviously. Be sure that, first and foremost, you take care of yourself first, okay? There's only one you. Be safe this 4th of July. Of course, the police are out in droves trying to give you those freedom tickets, okay? So exercise caution. You might be saying, like, oh, I love paying freedom tickets. Okay, that's fine. Just be sure that you pay the correct taxes on them. Very important. Okay? Be sure that you have carefully gotten all your freedom privileges, okay? If you're going to be doing some freedom fishing or some freedom hunting or some freedom recreational park usage or something like that, okay? Be sure that you get your freedom licenses and pay the adequate freedom taxes on those as well, all right? So that you can utilize that this freedom season, okay? 'Tis the season to have a freedom. So this freedom season, okay, this Christmas and July freedom season, be sure that you got all that. So take care of yourself first. Be careful out there, okay? Careful, dangerous times for you. And if you're playing with fireworks, be careful. They're dangerous. Okay? And we don't encourage anyone to do that, of course. This is all for philosophical entertainment. You got to be careful in a reality and a 3D world therein that you reside on your own accord. Okay? After you take care of yourself, make sure that you're safe and good. Get you, go through the barbecue line. Okay? Get you a plate. Make sure you're good. Okay? After you take care of yourself, look around, and if there's anyone who really, really, really needs it second, go take care of them. Okay? They might just really, really need a helping hand, like Bob. Hey, Bob, thanks for the hand. Okay? Sometimes it's just warranted and necessitated, okay? Sometimes it's beyond the means or capabilities of one out there that might very well need help and may not be able to ask for it in the right way, by the right means, or even make known that that help is needed. But perhaps something quantum tunneled into you, and you know that person needs it, okay? So you take care of yourself first. You take care of anyone else who really, really needs it second, okay? Then you look around the room, okay? Even if you see us with our crazy poetry book, hey, it's us! Okay? Go to Amazon and buy this shit, right? Okay, all right. You look around the room, even if you see us, okay? You take care of anyone else that you like and or love more than us, okay? Unlikely, but maybe. Okay? You take care of them third, okay? But any other crap you got left over, if you got like a email address and you want to start a Kindle Unlimited membership and read one of our books on there, we get 0.04 cents per page read. A 2-week free trial. You download one of our books, give it to a niece or nephew or one of your kids. They don't even have to read it. They just flip through it. We get 0.04 cents. Fantastic. It works out. Because remember, as always, freedom is great. You have the freedom to make whatever choices you want. So, ironically, we are free to as well. And we're freely done with the show now. So, As always, we don't want your subscription, we want your money. Downvote the shit out of this. Go to Cashapp and give us $1, or go to Amazon.com and buy one of our books. Get off our lawn. We're lighting fire.